Father Yahuah, we thank you for your faithfulness from the beginning of time. You never turned from your promise, even when mankind fell short. Today, open our hearts to understand your covenant through Yahusha the Messiah, the one who fulfilled every word you spoke. Let your Spirit guide our minds, soften our hearts, and help us walk in obedience. Selah. In part 1, we saw how the covenant began in the garden with Adam and Eve, continued through Noah and Abraham, and was renewed through Moses and Israel. Each story revealed another piece of Yahuah's heart, a father who loves, corrects, and restores. Even when his people failed, he never abandoned them. Every covenant showed that his goal was not punishment, but relationship. After the days of the prophets, everything went quiet. For 400 years, there were no new messages, no miracles, no fresh word from heaven. Yet even in the silence, Yahuah was still working. The promise made in the garden was not forgotten. The people still looked for the one who would crush the serpent's power and bring peace back to creation. Part 2 begins in that silence, when hope seemed faint, but heaven was preparing to move. Out of the stillness came Yahusha the Messiah, the living word of Elohim. He came not to erase what was spoken before, but to bring it to life, to fulfill every promise and every prophecy. Through him, the covenant would reach its true purpose, to bring man back into fellowship with the Most High, where it all began. Amos 8:11-12. Behold, the days come, says Adonai Yahuah, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahuah. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahuah, and shall not find it. This verse describes the 400 years of silence between the prophets and the coming of Yahusha. It wasn't that Yahuah stopped being present. It was that the people's hearts had hardened. They longed for a word from heaven, but were blind to their own disobedience. The famine was not of food or water, but of understanding. The silence was a space for reflection, a pause before fulfillment. Isaiah 9:2. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them has the light shined. Isaiah saw long before it happened that light would come to those living in darkness. That light was not the sun or the moon, but Yahusha himself. When the world could not hear, Yahuah sent his word in flesh to speak again. The covenant was about to come alive, not through stone tablets or prophets, but through the living presence of his Son. Jeremiah 31:31-33. Behold, the days come, says Yahuah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahuah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahuah, I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. This is the heart of part 2, the new covenant. But new does not mean different. It means renewed, written deeper. no longer on stone, but within the heart. Yahusha came to make this possible. Through his Spirit, we are no longer only followers of the law, but living reflections of it. The covenant moves from rules to relationship, from rituals to righteousness. Ezekiel 36:26-27. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my Ruach within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall guard my judgments, and do them. The covenant's fulfillment was always about transformation. Elohim did not just want to cleanse hands, he wanted to renew hearts. Through Yahusha, the promise of Ezekiel is fulfilled. The Ruach HaKodesh becomes the power that helps us live according to Yahuah's ways. It is no longer an external force, but an inward guide, shaping us from the inside out. Hebrews 9:11-12. But Mashiach being come, a high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. The old covenant required blood sacrifices over and over again, year after year. Yahusha's covenant required only one, his own. The blood of animals covered sin temporarily, but his blood removes it completely. The covenant is no longer written in ink or stone, but sealed in the blood of the Lamb. Luke 22:19-20. And he took bread, and gave thanks, and broke it, and gave unto them, saying, This is my body which is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. When Yahusha broke the bread and lifted the cup, he connected everything from the Passover in Egypt to his sacrifice on the stake. The bread symbolized his body, the living word broken for us. The cup symbolized his blood, the covenant fulfilled. Through this act, he gave us a way to remember not just his death, but our redemption. John 19:30. When Yahusha therefore had received the vinegar, he said, It is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the Ruach. These three words, it is finished, are the heartbeat of the covenant. Yahusha wasn't defeated. He completed the plan set in motion since the garden. Every prophecy, every promise, every sacrifice pointed to this moment. When he gave up his spirit, the separation between man and the Most High was torn apart. The price of sin had been paid in full. Matthew 27:50-51. Yahusha, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the Ruach. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. When the veil tore, it symbolized open access. In the Old Covenant, only the high priest could enter the most set-apart place once a year. But now, through Yahusha, every believer can come boldly before the throne of Yahuah. What was once closed because of sin is now open because of mercy. The earth itself shook to bear witness. The covenant of blood was complete. Luke 24:5-7. And as they were afraid and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, Why seek ye the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spoke unto you when he was yet in Galilee, saying, The Son of Adam must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, and be crucified, and the third day rise again. The resurrection is the proof that Yahusha is the living covenant. His rising was not symbolic, it was real. It showed that death had lost its power and sin its hold. The covenant that began with dust now brings eternal life. The Most High fulfilled what he promised. Through the seed of the woman, the serpent's head was crushed. Romans 6:4. Therefore we are buried with him by immersion into death, that like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. To be in covenant with Yahusha means to share in his death and his life. When we turn from sin and follow him, our old nature dies, and a new one is born. This is not just belief, it is transformation. The same power that raised Yahusha now works within us, helping us live as true sons and daughters of the Most High. Ephesians 2:8-9. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast. Grace does not erase obedience, it gives it strength. The covenant of grace reminds us that we did not earn salvation, but we show our love through obedience. It is a gift, freely offered, yet meant to transform us. We are saved through faith that leads to keeping his commandments. Grace teaches us to walk humbly and righteously, knowing all good things come from the Most High. Titus 2:11-12. For the grace of Elohim that brings salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that, denying wickedness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and reverently in this present world. True grace does not give permission to sin. It gives power to overcome it. The same favor that forgives also transforms. Yahusha's covenant of grace is not an excuse to live carelessly, but a call to live rightly. It reminds us that the Spirit of Yahuah now dwells within us, guiding us to walk in truth and holiness. Romans 8:1-2. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Mashiach Yahusha, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. For the law of the Ruach of life in Mashiach Yahusha has made me free from the law of sin and death. Before Yahusha, the law revealed sin but could not remove it. Now through him, we are made free from the penalty of sin, not free to live in disobedience, but free to live in righteousness. The covenant of grace does not destroy the law. It fulfills its purpose by writing it within our hearts. The Spirit replaces fear with freedom. Hebrews 10:16-18. This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, says Yahuah. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Now where remission of these is, there is no more offering for sin. The new covenant fulfills Jeremiah's prophecy. The sacrifice of Yahusha made animal offerings unnecessary. The law did not vanish, it was inscribed deeper. The Spirit of the Most High now writes his instructions inside the believer. We no longer serve out of fear, but out of love. The debt is paid, and the relationship is restored. Acts 1:9-11. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahusha, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. The covenant did not end with Yahusha's resurrection. It continues with his promise to return. The ascension reminds us that the story is not over. Just as he came once to fulfill the covenant, he will come again to complete it. Every eye will see him, and every tongue will confess that Yahusha is King. Until then, we are called to live in faith, carrying the message of reconciliation to the world. John 14:1-3. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. This is the hope of every believer, that Yahusha is preparing a place for us. The covenant was not only about forgiveness, but about fellowship. From Eden to eternity, Yahuah's desire has been to dwell with his people. When Yahusha returns, the covenant will be complete, and his people will once again walk with him face to face. Revelation 21:3-4. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. This is the final picture of the covenant, restoration. What began in the garden ends with the garden restored. The curse is lifted, death is gone, and fellowship is eternal. The covenant that started with Adam and was fulfilled through Yahusha ends with the Most High dwelling among his people forever. The promise was never just about law, it was about love. Yahuah our Elohim, we thank you for your everlasting covenant. Thank you for sending Yahusha, the living word, to bring us back to you. Help us to live in the fullness of this covenant, to obey from the heart, to love without fear, and to walk in the light of your truth. May our lives reflect your faithfulness until the day Yahusha returns and the covenant is complete. In Yahusha's name, Selah.